welcome to my channel. So my name is Crystal Cummings, and yeah, thank you guys for coming to my channel and subscribing. Today I'm going to be speaking on the topic of dyslexia. I will be telling you guys about how I personally was able to become successful despite of my dyslexia, how I was able to overcome the challenges that came with having dyslexia as a kid and even as an adult. And I just wanted to start off by saying why. Why am I sharing this story? Now, personally, doing my own research, I've realized that a lot of students actually drop out of school because of dyslexia. A lot of dyslexic students or people, you can say, end up, uneducated, living like on basic minimum wage, paycheck to paycheck. A large majority of people with dyslexia also ends up in the prison system, and that's very devastating. Because on the bright side, there are so many inspirational people that have dyslexia, like Whoopi Goldberg, Oprah Winfrey, Prince Harry, Richard Branson. Like, these amazing people also have dyslexia. So there's two sides of the coin. So you can actually have dyslexia and be a failure, or you can have dyslexia and use it to your advantage. And I'm here to tell you that dyslexia is not a death sentence. It's not something to be sad about. It's actually a blessing in disguise. What people don't tell you is that people with dyslexia actually use a different region of their brain, mainly like their center brain. So they have very huge or vivid imagination. They come up with great ideas. They think through pictures and images, which is why the typical reading and writing usually give them a lot of challenge, because the way they process information is through their center brain, which is basically the doorway to your subconscious. So you find that people who are able to become successful despite of their dyslexia, they're very creative people, they have great imagination, and they can become very successful because they're tapping into that part of their brain that a typical person who doesn't have dyslexia may not be able to have access to. So I just want to start off by quoting Richard Branson. So in an interview, someone asked him, like, what would you say to your younger self? If you had something to say to your younger self, what would you say to them? And this was his reply. He said that, I would say to my younger self that your imagination is one of your greatest gifts. Your ability to think differently will become one of your biggest advantages in life, taking you places where most straight A students will never go. And I find that to be so profound, because the thing is, there are so many people who are really good with their books, and they're really good with their reading, their spelling, they're making A's all the time. And then there's the person who has dyslexia and they're struggling with their work and stuff. But when you check up on them like 10-20 years down the road, the person with dyslexia is running a multinational corporation, and the person who was a straight A student is working for that person who has actually dyslexic. So it's very ironic, And okay, so let me just share my story, my personal story dealing with dyslexia as a kid. So when I was growing up, well, I had no idea what dyslexia was. I only learned of dyslexia when I was a grown adult. But I remember as a kid, I had so many struggles, with my schoolwork, learning to spelling mainly, and writing and stuff like that. It was so hard, and even like reading. And I didn't understand why. And they would try to teach me, and it just wasn't sticking. And I just couldn't understand why. Like, what is happening? What is wrong with me? And my family wasn't very helpful either, because they would actually make fun of me. And that made me feel so bad. Like, it was so devastating, because I would really try. I would try my best. And I was like, why am I not getting it? Why is it not working for me? And I remember there were times where I would cry because I didn't know what was wrong with me. Like, they would call me names. They would say that I'm dunce, that, I can't learn, like, I'm a failure and all of that. And it was very, very devastating for me. And I would never forget, when I was in standard 5, usually there's an entrance exam that you write before you go to high school, right? And even at standard 5, like, I was still behind on my work. My family didn't believe in me. They didn't believe that I would actually pass this exam and go on to high school. Like, it was so bad. Like, they had no faith in me. Like, can you believe your own family have no faith in you? And the school system, forget it. They didn't know how to deal with children who learn differently. Because the thing with dyslexia is, it's not that the child cannot learn, it's that they learn differently from the regular school system. And the way the school system is built, it's just built for children who learn one specific type of way. And if you have a child that learns differently, like me, I learn through imagery, and I also learn from seeing people. Like, if you show me to do something, like I see someone do something practical, in a split second I grasp that and I am able to learn so quickly. But if you give me a textbook to read, which is teaching the same thing that I just saw someone do, I would never get it. I was like, what the hell is this? It's just words, it's not making any sense. So anyway, there was this one lecturer in school, he had like evening classes for students who wanted to stay back and get extra lessons for this examination. So I joined his class, and immediately this teacher, the way he was teaching was so different. Like, he was able to teach in such a way that everyone was able to grasp what he was teaching. And I remember, he would give me that individual attention, and like, if he showed like something on the board and I didn't get it, he would show me the exact same thing in a different way, and I'll grasp it like that. And I actually, for the first time, started to feel excited about school and excited about learning. I was like, wow, this is so easy. I had no idea this was so easy, because this teacher made it in such a way that I was able to comprehend what was being taught to me, and he was able to use different teaching techniques so that I was able to learn in spite of the rest of the students learning a different way. And I would never forget, I wrote that exam, and out of a class of 30 students, because we were in this class, they call it like the B class, meaning students who learn differently, or they're slow learners. That's what they call us, slow learners. So I was in that class, and out of 30 students, I was the only one that passed my entrance exam to go to high school. And I felt so bad, because like all my friends, everybody in the class, they failed. And I knew in my heart the only reason that I was able to pass that exam was because of this teacher. And I was so forever grateful for this teacher. And the fact that he taught me to learn in such a different way, I was able to take that with me. And I used it throughout high school, like when I had like difficult subjects that I wasn't picking up on, I was able to, try and learn, as best as I could. And I was able to, graduate high school. I did fail a couple subjects, and I went back and did them over and passed them. And I even went on to tertiary level education. I have an associate degree. I did start my bachelor's degree, but I didn't complete it because I felt like I didn't, my career part, and it ended up becoming a business owner. I started my own business, so I felt like I didn't need to go on to complete the bachelor's degree. But I may finish my bachelor's degree eventually. It's up in the air still. But the fact that I was able to, learn and be able to understand how my brain worked and use it to my advantage, to be able to go through school and become so successful. And I remember coming across a couple of my friends who I went to primary school with, who never went to high school. Like, they never went to high school. And I felt so bad, and it's so sad that so many students, there were 30 students in my class, and I was the only one that was able to go to high school. And when you think of that number, and I mean, I'm not sure if everyone in my class had dyslexia, but definitely a huge portion of them probably did. That's why we were in the class for slow learners. But the fact that they weren't able to go to high school and get a tertiary level education, or even get good jobs, because if you don't even have a high school education, you can't even get like a really good job, because the most you can do is minimum wage for the rest of your life, which is really sad. So I say all this to say that, if you might be dealing with dyslexia even as an adult, or you might have a child that might be dyslexic, I just want you to know that dyslexia is not a curse, it's actually a blessing. People with dyslexia just learn differently. What you need to do is find out how it is that you can teach this child, or even yourself, to be able to learn despite of having dyslexia. Like, nowadays there are so many different schools and so many different people that you can reach out to, who can show you how to teach your child who is dyslexic. And even as an adult, for me personally, like I said, I learned through imagery and seeing people do practical stuff. Like I learned so quickly. And if I, like I said, if you give me a textbook, it's like gibberish. It doesn't make sense. I can read it, of course I can read it, but textbook doesn't make no sense to me. But don't, one other thing that I want to say is that reading for someone with dyslexia is very important, because one other thing that I would never forget, my big sister, hi Maria, she bought me my first novel, and it was actually the Oliver Twist. I believe it was one of the Penguin classics. I could be wrong, I'm not sure. But I was like about 10 or 11 years old, and I was still struggling, you know, with my reading and stuff like that. And this was the first time I had a book that had no pictures in it, and it was a thick book. I was like, why the hell would you buy me this book? It has no pictures in it. And she's like, girl, you're getting older, you don't need books with pictures. So either way, you know, it took me, I'm not gonna lie, it took me 3 months to read that book. 3 months. I think of it now and I feel so bad, but that book opened a door for me, because what I realized is that when I was reading, even though I come across words that I couldn't pronounce and stuff like that, when I learned to use my dictionary, every time I come across a word that I didn't understand, I would go to my dictionary and I would find the meaning of it and, you know, the pronunciation, and I'll be able to understand the word and even like use it in my vocabulary. So I was building my vocabulary by true reading. And after that book, like I started like enjoying books. So I remember joining the library at school. I would borrow books from school, come home and I would read, and I realized that the more I read and I force myself to get used to reading, and even though I might make mistakes, I come across words I don't know, like allowing myself to actually use the dictionary, understand the words. If I can't pronounce it, I would ask someone, hey, can you tell me what this word is? You know, like I was shameless. Like I wanted to learn to read so bad so that I wouldn't be made fun of. And I remember as a teenager, you know, through high school, reading became my hobby. I remember I used to buy all these Mills and Boons books and all these romance novels and stuff like that. But it really helped me with my imagination, because what people don't realize is that reading really opens up your imagination, and people with dyslexia have really good imagination, so they actually tap into that aspect, which is called the center brain aspect of their mind, where they have like really good imagination. And one subject area that was my favorite in school was essay writing. Like I was so good at essay writing because I used to read so much. I was able to, you know, make like really descriptive essays and, you know, add characters and conclusion and the body of the essay. Like essay writing was like my favorite. And the only reason it was like that is because I forced myself to read and enjoy reading so much. To this day, I still love reading. I've moved on from romance novels. I no longer read romance novels, but I read a lot of books, you know, educational books, books on self-help and all these different things. So yeah, it's really good. I love reading. I will always be forever grateful for my sister for, you know, forcing me to learn to read. And yeah, so in conclusion, guys, I just want you to know that, you know, dyslexia is not a death sentence. It's actually a blessing in disguise. And if you or a child that you know is struggling with dyslexia, don't give up. It is something that you can actually work through. And, you know, people with dyslexia can become really successful because they have that part of their brain where they can tap into their creativity and be able to become successful in so many different areas of life, in terms of, you know, doing different things besides just learning and regurgitating information. Because basically most students, straight A students, they just learn and regurgitate. That's it. Like they can't think for themselves, they can't come up with great amazing ideas and stuff like that. But people with dyslexia tend to have really great imagination and they can come up with really amazing ideas. And that's why you see so many successful business people who are dyslexic, and you wonder how can they be so successful. It's because they're tapping into a part of themselves that the regular person doesn't have access to. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope that I was able to reach someone or inspire someone. And yeah, thank you guys so very much for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys soon. I will be posting another video next week. I will be sharing another motivational story with you guys. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and see you guys soon. Bye.